Welcome, everyone, to our Thursday podcast, which we have been doing now for, I think it's getting close to 3 years. My name is Toni Weel. I have with me my co-host, Sara from Virtuous Unicorns, and our guest, Gary and Ted. Gary Parent and Ted Chatham. We are Dr. Morse trained and certified practitioners, detox specialists, counselors, whatever you want to call us. And I think we have a great team here. And after last week's podcast, that kept going on and on because there was so much to talk about. We were like, okay, let's do this again next week. But then it's like anything goes. Any question that comes up, and we're gonna answer it. See what questions come in, and we just got a guest in actually, Amanda. So let's start with Amanda. Amanda, can you unmute yourself and welcome here? Okay, I think that was not quite working. So we let Amanda work on that, and we're going right into the first question that has been coming up quite a bit, and that's actually about raw figs. If you know about Dr. Morse and the groups, the TATS group, fans of Dr. Morse, and there are several other groups. We all knew about rawfigs.com. That is where you go. You had a question, you put in a keyword, and voila, there was Dr. Morse talking exactly about that topic that you were looking for. And it's been out there for years, and it wasn't updated, but still very, very valuable, and it worked like a charm. We were all using it, including the practitioners. It was absolutely great. And then quite a while ago, YouTube decided to completely delete Dr. Morse's YouTube channel. And all these videos on raw figs, they were linked to that YouTube channel. So all of a sudden, raw figs didn't work anymore. Now, behind the scenes, the Dr. Morse's team has worked very hard to give us what we needed so we could look up all these videos, because when you go to morses.tv, MORSES.tv, there you have a search function. You can put in your keyword and then you get the whole video, and they can be from, I think 30 minutes to an hour and a half, where he answered all kinds of questions. And oftentimes we just don't want to go through all of that, although I suggest you do, because there's always something that we learn from it. But now, for the last few months, they have a new search function, which is actually at the bottom of the page. And you can put in a keyword, and then you get exactly the clip where Dr. Morse is talking about that. So for everyone who was using raw figs and wonder what the heck happened, is it all down? It's just not, we don't use it anymore. And now you can go to Morses.tv, and you get all the new and updated videos. They have uploaded also the old videos. So everything that you need is there. And we had actually a question about lectins, and I was like, okay, I know Dr. Morse has been talking about that. So I just used that new search function at the bottom of the page. Doesn't matter if you are on your computer or on your phone, it is at the bottom, not at the top. And I saw that he had 3 references to lectins, but we will go into that later. Let me see if Amanda, because I was already on another screen. If Amanda, you can also put in a text if you can't unmute, or you don't want to ask anything but just be here. That's okay too. I wanted to go in the first question, and I already discussed this a little bit with Gary. It was about, I was on a high fruit diet for 2 years with some salads in the evening. For the first 6 months, I took Morse's herbs, including GI Broom, and then got a lower budget, so I didn't continue with herbs. After 6 months on high fruits, I started experiencing delusional hits, like became a different person. My family noticed it. I became flying in the clouds. And we heard that from Dr. Morse quite often, actually. Not focused on my day-to-day life. It increased during second year of fruit, so I did steamed vegetables, but it didn't help much. I got to the point where I couldn't eat fruits anymore, as I felt that I will be out of the body. So I stopped. Now I'm eating mostly homemade vegan whole food diet, but I gained a lot of weight. Is it common when people experience this kind of delusional mind? How should I go from here? I'm only 21. Gary and Ted, I would like you both actually to give you insight on that. But let's start with Gary.
So I've had this experience too, and a lot of it is the fruit and the sugars, depending on your digestive system and what you're eating. You know, if you're just eating fruit, okay, it can ferment and it'll create an alcohol. So there are people who have been arrested that eat all fruit for drunk driving. Now, they weren't driving like they were drunk, but their alcohol content in their blood was much higher. And that can affect how you think. Also, you're focused, really, really deeply focused on raising your energy, on your fruit and your berries and your melons. As you eat them, you're allowing yourself to step out of this world and into the realm of higher consciousness. And I had a real hard time staying here in the matrix, because in life, let's say. And if we want the life to be the matrix, right? Which it kind of is, because it's a program. And depending on how we feel and how we move through that, your consciousness is going up. Your breath is shifting, because you can make yourself hallucinate just through your breath. So what I had to do was change my thinking and get myself back and get grounded to the earth. I don't know if this person's grounding or not. That would definitely help. Go for walks in the woods, get some nice oxygen in your lungs, and realize that realm is to visit. This is home right here on earth. This is home. And I think it's important to understand the difference between those two realms of reality, here and quantum. And the fruits and the berries and the melons are so high in energy, they can lift us into things that we're not ready for. We don't know how to handle the vibration, the energy. So it's important to ground yourself every day. I always say you should ground yourself 10 to 20 minutes a day. And if you're so busy that you don't have time to ground yourself, then you should ground yourself a half an hour to 45 minutes a day. Because we're in our head too much and we're not in our body. And again, it affects our breath, how we do that. And that's quantum, right? So we're breathing this breath in and we're going through all these chemical changes, higher energy changes, vibrations that are being created through the fruits, berries, and melons, and our own interpretation of that. I've gone through insomnia. I mean, I've had a lot of things happen over my lifetime, and you have to just stand in. Like when I had insomnia, I had my sign shop, and there was so much work coming in, and I was so focused and so entrenched in my customers that I couldn't sleep at night. And finally, I just had to say, look, this is my body. This is my life. And I'm going to take some of that out because I need to sleep. I deserve to sleep. I heal when I'm sleeping. And it took a little bit, but as you change your breath You can be on the same diet. This is what I was going through was more of a mental issue. Through my breath and grounding and all these things, I was able to stop the insomnia and go to sleep. And I do that now. And when I go to sleep, all I have to do is close my eyes and I'm gone. Because I give myself permission to sleep. Before, I wasn't giving myself permission to sleep. I was giving myself permission to keep designing signs and working with customers. I worked 7 days a week for 12 years, as long as I could stay awake. So I was cheating myself, helping them. And we have to be careful when we're doing that to our own body, or we're helping other people and putting ourselves second to that. We're first. The more energy and grounded we are, the more people we can help without it affecting our physical ability, our mental ability. That goes back physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. We're the commander-in-chief of our body. And to step inside that and ground ourselves to the earth and not get swept into the hurricane of chaos that goes on in the matrix or in the world that we're in, is probably one of the healthiest things that we could do right there with fruits, berries, melons, and lower frequency, but still important for strength is vegetables. And we should have them live if we can. Now, she was having an issue. She was, I think, blanching. Is that what you said? Blanching her vegetables?
Yes.
And it still wasn't enough. And I don't know, she could be grounding herself to the earth. But it's breath, grounding to the earth, connecting to self. You know, I talked in one of the videos about the Hopis and our head's not connected to our body anymore. We're thinking so much that we're causing all these issues in the body, and we're blaming the body and we're looking outside to correct that. And the answer is always inside. The calmness is inside. The outside world is trying to pull us into the chaos because in fear, you're in fight or flight, and it's a lot easier to control people in fight or flight. But you can feel your breath change. You know, when you're shocked or you're frightened, you know, you get in cold water, right? And to just allow yourself to maintain a balance between the matrix or here on Earth and the quantum field. And as you slowly grow and you slowly ingest, digest, and process all this information chemically, you'll be able to maintain your balance. That's probably the biggest thing, is to maintain your balance. To tell your body, just tell it. Okay, today we're going to start maintaining our balance. Today, no more lightheadedness, no more vibrational frequencies coming in that are going to disrupt my daily pattern. I probably need to think about that a little more, but that's definitely a path that should be taken as she goes through this and understands it's her body, it's her mind. And if it's getting overcharged, a lot of that is mental. And it's causing a physical, because that's what mental does. You know, your heart is constantly communicating with your head, and your head back is creating chemicals up here to flow through the body to help correct things that are out of balance, because that's what nature seeks. It seeks balance. So, Thad, take it away, man. Is everybody still there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, good.
And looks like Amanda gave us a message, said, "Hello, sorry I cannot unmute at this moment. I listen only if it's okay." All right, yeah, it's okay, Amanda.
Yeah.
Just unmute when you can. Really, Gary, only thing I could add to what you're saying is, yes, is the biggest thing is that they're they're coming into a state of being that they're not really used to doing. You know, they're not used to
Right.
being that level of human, and they didn't even really have the concept of being able to imagine that human states could get like that. Because
Mhm.
sometimes that's the thing in life is that we can show someone pictures of the Grand Canyon, but until they're standing on the edge looking at it, they don't really get what we're saying. They don't really grasp the situation, you know. And it's the same thing with a lot of these experiences in life. You know, we really have to go down the road and to experience these things to really understand deeply, especially some of these things that are so spiritually, mentally, and emotionally deep, you know, like they are. You know, it's one of those things we really just can't understand it until you're doing it, you know. And yes, the breath has a huge one because the mind can override the I think it's the parasympathetic or sympathetic, you know, just pretty much the nervous system. It can override it, and you can get in this perpetual state of overthinking and thinking of thoughts that are, you know, negative and not positive, and just worried and fear and all those things. And then it causes shallow breathing, as they say, you know, and people also they come to a state as they go deeper into the detox, and they start to peel back, you know, the layers, and they start to eliminate all the stimulants in their life. Then they start to get really what they call low blood pressure. And then when you have low blood pressure, you can have a tendency to breathe more shallow too, because it's affecting your breathing, you know. So really you have to start practicing more and more on how to strengthen your lungs through the deep breathing exercises. And then what you will realize is by practicing the deep breathing exercises that it really does bring you to a more, you know, blissful, calm state, you know, even though you're going through that state of understanding what it's like to be more spiritually, mentally, and emotionally sensitive, you know, to this world's energies and to your own energies and all of these things, you know. And then also, um you know, it's just learning about how to really live like a human in these higher states of being is supposed to live, you know, because a lot of people have never eliminated enough of the stimulants, enough of the suppressants, enough of the things that are holding them back from being able to get to that level. And then it's so uncommon in their families and in society that they don't know how to respond to it either, because they didn't see it around them to be mimicked or to be shown as an example, you know, from their families, their relatives, their communities, you know, just in general. And so it's one of those things you really sometimes have to go on the journey of discovery by yourself. And that can seem scary to a lot of people, you know. So again, it's bringing that fear in that's making them again go into that states even more. So it's kind of like the thing that they're trying to go towards that can help them to have more higher states of being is actually bringing up more challenges and more fears, because the young child within and the psyche of the individual is not they don't under it doesn't understand what they're experiencing. So it's just one of those
Right.
things they have to work through over time. And yes, the grounding can be very important, physically grounding, but also you can ground yourself with root crop vegetables, not so much eating them raw like raw carrots. I mean, you can in small amounts, but they say it's easier to digest if you do like carrot juice, you know, or beet juice, you know, things that are root crops, but also the root crop herbs again, because, and even wild foraging root crop herbs, because, you know, they can be very beneficial. There's my family has a health food store, and we've been having lots of people coming in asking us about all these different, you know, what do you call it? Off the grid or homesteading remedies that you can find in nature and things. And they're talking
Mhm.
about how, you know, the mimosa tree grows so much like a weed everywhere. I mean, I have several of them around my house, and I struggle to keep them cut back really well because they grow so invasive around my property. And someone was coming in talking about how they're seeing in these herbal remedy books and stuff that are real popular on social media, even on Facebook. It's sold by these herbalists, and they're seeing also these different posts that people are making that you can take the flower from mimosa tree, and it works similar to valerian or Valium, and for your nervous system. So there's so many different great herbs and plants and techniques and practices that you can do, that what you're experimenting with is something that's new to you, something that's a new tool that you haven't really had a lot of experience in. So it opens up the door to new possibilities. And in order to really experience new things that you're trying to work on and that your body and your spirit's not used to, you have to keep experimenting with different tools that can help you to adjust to those different experiences. So that's kind of the way that I would answer it, on top of what Gary said too, because it really is a deep subject. And I know we don't want to take up the whole conversation on just that one topic, but it's just really a challenge that people need to embrace, that can be a good thing, because it can lead them to new things that they're growing and learning about, and just expanding their consciousness and their awareness as a spirit having a human experience. Because that's really what it is. You're expanding your conscious awareness on the limits of the spirit having a human experience. And that's quite mind-blowing for the spirit, and it's quite mind-blowing for the body, because it's kind of like the body has never experienced it before, and a lot of times the spirit doesn't. It's a new experience for them, regardless if you believe in reincarnation or not, because they say that even if you are reincarnated, you don't remember your past lives a lot of times, so it's still like a new experience to you. So that's what I mean by, it's really something that people should get excited about. Try not to have fear about it. Be excited about the new possibilities of how you can grow and expand as an individual on such a deep level. So really let go of the fear every day. Anytime it brings it up, ask yourself, why are you having this fear? And dive deeper into that. And then just keep trying to surrender and let it go, and keep looking at it as a positive thing. And be so grateful and be appreciative every second that you're alive, that you have this experience, to be here and to experience these things. So that's all I would add, and we can move on to the other questions, Toni.
Well, thank you, Ted. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, we had a question about shampoo. What is a safe shampoo? And I know Sara has experienced with a few things, so I'll let her talk. But what I wanted to say is that I did of course, my experiences too, and I know that if you cannot eat it, then don't put it on your skin, and that goes for all the shampoos too. Although even the things that Sara is going to mention soon is not something I would want to eat. But anyway, I do have very good experiences with a company, and it's called lusaorganics.com. And I would suggest look it up. They have soaps, they have shampoos. There's nothing in it that is bad. I have used it. I have, well, good results. I mean, the only results you have is that your hair is, or your skin is clean and soft. But I also know we do not need any of that stuff. I just heard from another lady who was responding to a question in the group about shampoo, is that she only washes her hair once a week or once every 2 weeks with water, just water. And I've done that too. And actually, I found that my hair that was actually gotten pretty straight over the years was started to curl again. And I thought that was amazing. And I've done it for, at least 6-7 months, and don't ask me why I stopped doing it. So now I'm using the Lusa Organics soaps. Look it up and see what you like. They have soaps, they have soap bars, they have all kinds of stuff, and it's good stuff. Always look at the ingredients. If it's any coloring or any chemical, then don't use it. It's as simple as that. But Sara, I'll give it to you. What are your experiences?
Hey, yeah. Real quick though, on what
Oh,
barefoot grounding. Can you hear me okay now?
Yep.
Okay. Barefoot grounding is great. And please don't hesitate. I say it all the time. make sure to hug your trees, go for walks in the forest, sit with them, and have a conversation with God or whatever you believe in, your higher self or whatever. We are meant to get high, and we get high from our fruits and being in touch with God and things like that, not, drugs or anything like that. But most people will call us weird in the first place, or that we're not ourselves or whatever, once we start opening up to all of this. But it's just because we're not following, we're not going in the same direction everybody is. We're swimming in the other direction. And it's fine, as long as you feel comfortable inside. And I also want to say, praise to you for finding this so early on in your life. I mean, you're still so young, and all these experiences are, wonderful, but, just keep moving through it. And if it, scares you or whatever, just ask God or whatever you believe in to, guide you and be with you, and, just kind of ride it out. But, of course, ask any questions if anything really weird comes up, or reach out to somebody, and we'll all help to try to guide you through it. But so on the hair care, yeah, I mean, all we need is water. And if you can get distilled water, I've been experiencing with rainwater, and I have to tell you, the rainwater feels amazing, and my hair is so soft. I do have blonde hair. I try never to go into anything with chlorine. Even the pool that I will get in every so often is a saltwater pool. And I also have started getting into not the oiling of the hair. I know that's really popular in a lot of cultures, but I've been just using, which my hair really doesn't produce that much oil either. But like any of my own oils that my hair will produce. But I've been doing it for so long that I don't have like oily scalp anymore or anything like that. When I did first start though with no shampoo, yeah, I was seeing excessive amounts of oil, but the brushing of your hair and just letting the oil go through, I think it's very important to use a wooden comb or wooden bristles, bamboo, something like that. Stay away from your plastics. And I've been massaging my scalp with my fingers and just kind of rubbing any kind of oil or anything that might be through my hair. I've also done the apple cider vinegar rinses and the regular vinegar rinses, and I don't necessarily like those so much, but we did talk on one show, and I know Toni has them, they grow in Florida like crazy, but up here in Ohio, I'm struggling to get mine to grow, but it's the ginger lily, the shampoo plant. And I really want to experience that once I finally get one of them to grow. My friend has made shampoo bars before I've used, and the thing I like the most is I like just water, and I wet my hair down probably every single day just because I work outside a lot and I do have dirt on me. And keep in mind, like, the women's reproductive organ, the area down there, that is self-cleaning too. And I also kind of think our mouths are self-cleaning as well, but you don't really need soap either. And if you have smelly armpits or whatever, or body odor, that will change in your diet as well too. Just as much as your hair will change with your diet. But lemons are great too for cleaning up any kind of armpit odor, that kind of thing. I mean, you just got to go through the process though, and it can be an uncomfortable process. The other thing people do too is they wear satin hats or bonnets on their hair at night when they sleep, or a satin pillow, or silk. And I'm totally against silk. And I don't like satin. So I just kind of just put my hair up or on like something really light where it never gets pulled. And I have very long hair too. And or I just put it up on my pillow, and and it's totally fine. But water I think is the best. And distilled water might be a little expensive to be washing your hair in all the time or rinsing. Toni, do you have any experience with rice water? I've never used that, but I know that that's very popular in the Asian cultures.
No, I've never used it. Didn't even hear about that it was something to use for your hair.
They do like a rice water rinse, or you can even kind of soak your hair in a bowl of it, I guess, depending on how long your hair is. But yeah, I'm a true believer of water, but that's pretty hard for a lot of people to get used to when they're used to the sudsing and the scent and all those things too. But I do not like scent, and if I ever have any kind of scent, I only really like almond scent in the first place. So
Yeah. All right. We have some questions, and it's interesting
Tony?
that it comes up. I'm sorry, Todd, did you say something?
Yes, ma'am. I have quite a bit I could say about the shampoo. I'll keep it short because I know we want to get on to other questions, but because I have all the experience of working at my parents' health food store for the last 19 years, well, 18 years. I didn't help them the first year. But anyways, is that I just wanted people to know that if you're going to buy a product from the store, it is very hard to find a clean product because any of the liquid shampoos, they're going to have some kind of preservative in it, even if it is organic, to preserve it from the mold, a possibility of mold growing in the liquid, because any kind of liquid supplement or product that you buy, it's got to have some kind of stabilizer in it to prevent mold growth, in there. And some of them, they have natural ways of doing that. And then some of them they use, of course, either potassium sorbate or one of the other preservatives that they use that are not, of course, organic. So you have to be careful with those. And then like Sara mentioned, yes, there is shampoo bars. They're wonderful. They work great too, and they don't usually have a lot of bad additives and things in them. But Sara was making some great points about just using regular water most of the time. But yes, like she said, just try to use a real clean, good quality water, like spring water or distilled water and stuff. And I know that's hard when people have, they want to take a shower or a bathtub and they have city water, and you can use a water filter on your shower head, just like you can use a water filter on your home, but that still doesn't get out, the fluoride and some of the other harder to get out elements from the water. But then what I was going to mention is that you also have to look beyond just what you're putting on your hair for your hair to look good. You put on your things that not only will nourish your hair, but will nourish your scalp and will be absorbed into your brain and then will be absorbed into your body that can be beneficial, because you have to be aware of that when you're using any kind of products that you put on your body, period. So if you're going to put something on your body, put something on your brain, put something on your scalp that's going to be beneficial to everything that makes up who you are. And that's where you go to the benefit of the herbs. Herbs are amazing when you look into their different properties. And like, for example, we have people that come in all the time, especially your melanated community, that have long braids and they want to help strengthen their roots and their hair. They'll soak their hair in horsetail tea, because horsetail has high levels of silica. And that's also something good that we can drink and take internally, because it helps us to have more silica. Because at a bare elemental level, we are made up of quartz. Quartz is silica, and that's why the religious people, or the Bible says God made us from the elements of the earth, or dirt, dust. And so that's why that so much of our connective tissue, our brain, our eyes, our heart, so much of what we are made up of that gives us strength is the silica and that quartz. But that also is what makes us vibrate higher on frequencies, because even the pineal gland is made of crystals, and I'm not sure if it's from crystal quartz or not, but it's still crystals that vibrate, especially the more you put focus and concentration on that area through different techniques, of course. And that's a whole nother subject we can go into, of course. But also rosemary oil or rosemary tea. Rosemary's been shown to increase oxygen to the brain and increase your memory, and it also helps strengthen the roots of your hair. And I could keep going on more and more and more with these wonderful herbs that you can find out in nature, and you can soak your hair in them as using a tea, or you can use a oil, 100% like essential oil or something, and just you can dilute it down with other really good oils for your scalp and your hair, like jojoba and different ones. And you can just drop little small drops. You don't have to do a whole lot, on just a few spots on your scalp, and then just massage it in. But as we've already been mentioning, is of course you need to focus first on cleaning the body and helping to detox a lot of your hair, especially for women, because they've spent so many years and decades of their life probably putting toxic products and elements in their hair. And so you want to first do lots of detox to detox that out if you are one of those individuals, and help get a lot of that elimination of waste, not only out of your scalp, but it will come out of your brain and your head areas as well through, perspiration and just the process of detoxing out your scalp. And then same thing goes with any of the oils, even the essential oils, because that will suppress some of the release of those oils and toxins and products and chemicals from your scalp. And then you can also use bentonite clay mixed with water, or you can use certain types of shampoo that even have bentonite clay in the shampoo, that helps to detox out the chemicals and the pollution from the scalp as well. There's a wonderful company, if anyone wants to look into it. They're a little bit expensive for lots of people, but they're called Morocco Method. And Morocco Method makes some really great hair products that are very clean. They don't have any of the chemicals or the sudsing agents or any of those kind of normal. They don't have all the preservatives. They all have monomortolite, which is a bentonite clay. And it was created by a really great hair guy that was into the hair industry for a long time, and he didn't like the majority of the products out there because they had bad toxic ingredients in them. So he created a line that was not like that, but they are, like I said, they are expensive. But so there's many great options we can do for our hair and for all the other products that we use on the body. But in general sense, the cleaner you become inside, you're going to have true beauty comes from within outward. So you're going to have the best quality skin, the best quality hair, the best quality everything that makes up your body, the cleaner you are inside, and the cleaner you maintain that, and the cleaner that you use different products and different things on your body that don't leave behind bad residues and buildups in the body. So that's what I wanted to add, and then we can move on to the next question.
Thank you. That was great information. Yeah, we definitely have to look more into make like an herbal tea specifically for hair. And I have in my mind to start with teas and herbs, little company, and so I will be working on that too. So thank you for that suggestion. There is I had some other question, but something came up in the chat, and I definitely want to address that. And that is urine therapy. I hear that so much that I actually have an article from a transcription from a video that what is her name? Ilanya. Think it is Ilanya, you know her too, Tat, and she did a long video about urine therapy, and she said, I'm not going to say anything about pro or against it, but explain to us what it is. And my logic was always, it is waste. It comes out of the body for a reason. So why the heck would we start ingesting it back in? And if it was meant to be recirculated in our body, I think our body would have been designed differently. That is just my my logic, and I know Dr. Morse has a lot to say about it. How that it is really a waste product. And I have read the eyes of a person who had been doing urotherapy for many, many, many years, and she had many, many, many health issues. So to say that it heals, it absolutely makes no sense to me. I don't even know why people would do it. And it doesn't really matter that it's been done for thousands of years. It doesn't matter that it's any good. So let's not go into it too long, but guys, if you have to add something about that, please do.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead,
go ahead.
Gary. Go ahead.
So to me, to recycle urine is to give it back to the earth, not the toilet.
Correct.
Because all animals go to the bathroom, wherever they are, right? And it goes back into the soil, it gets repurified, and it's used to build nature. And they say we are nature, but I haven't really, and you're right, there are people that it goes way into really stuff that's too sick for me to even talk about. But yeah, they drink their own urine. I don't know if you know who the certified health nut is, but some of the urine he drinks is 2 years old. He just puts it in a container and puts it under the shelf. And I'm like, okay, I couldn't even be in the room, I don't think, when they opened the lid. But they're claiming that it has, minerals, electrolytes. It has a lot of things in it. And that's what they're drinking. But the other waste that's in there that's supposed to be eliminated, I don't know. I just don't, I don't agree with it. It does have salt in it.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
they say it has stem cells in it, and I think that is all explained in that file that I have. So if anyone is interested, I will send it to you, and just email me at healthywithfruit@gmail.com, and you can read all about it if you're interested in reading it.
Yeah, and Tony, I have just a couple things I can say about it, then we can move on. Is Yes, I agree completely with what Gary said, is that it is a fertilizer. It's a wonderful, if you want to, save your urine, collect it in a jar or jug, and then use it as a great fertilizer for your plants and your trees. And, I mean, it's a wonderful thing to be reused and recirculated. I mean, even if we're going to go there, there's even a wonderful articles that if you're not consuming chemicals like medications and you're eating a clean diet, that it is even beneficial to save your poo to be used as a fertilizer. They call it humanure. I mean, so really that's where those things come into benefit. But to want to say to reconsume them, that is skeptical. But I will say in certain situations, they might appear to have some benefits. Now, the poo will give you more benefits to re-ingest that than even the urine, because it's goes back to the bacteria, but it's not your own poo. It's poo from other people that have very high levels of good strains of bacteria, but that's only for a therapeutic use because you have a compromised levels of good bacteria in your body. That's what saves some people's life from C. diff and all those other things. But to reconsume, technically what is our waste is really not wise whenever there's other sources of things we can reconsume for better quality, nutrients and ingredients. I mean, even what makes it confusing to people is that not all people, but most people that consume urine therapy, they're consuming non-filtered urine waste, because their kidneys aren't filtering properly. They're not getting out the waste. So their kidneys and their body is actually letting go of too much electrolytes and too much of the beneficial minerals that your body is, using, instead of getting out the waste because your kidneys aren't functioning right. So that's what they're drinking, and that's what they're calling that is beneficial. But you're getting it secondhand. You're getting it already been gone through our system. It's better to consume fresh electrolytes and minerals from the fresh juices of plants than it is from your urine. So again, it's just people looking at things from a weird stance, all because it may have some properties to it. Yeah, but so does a lot of things have some properties to it, but it doesn't always mean that we need to consume it. And so there's just a lot of mixture of things that get mixed up, and then a lot of these cultures do these old folk remedies and things that they use, and a lot of people, they take these things to such high spiritual levels in these spiritual communities like India and these different places, and then they start to put a spiritual importance on it, and they elevate it so high that then people start to get to the point where they're almost worshiping the urine therapy movement or the urine therapy involvement of being in that club and that group. And then they start taking it too far. They start snorting it up their nose. They start doing all these crazy things with it. It's like, why? Why would you do that? But again, that's just how crazy humans can be when it comes to different things we do with our body and different things we do in our lives. So for each his own is what I say, but at the same time, be aware of what you're doing, because sometimes people do some crazy shit, crazy things, excuse me, that they're not aware of what the consequences of doing that thing. But I will say again, one other thing that can be beneficial about your urine is if you've been stung by a jellyfish again. They say that's really
Yes.
good to put on your skin if you've had that happen, because it says it can neutralize the sting from the jellyfish sting. So that's my take really in a short synopsis of the whole urine thing, and I just kind of find it very, very puzzling, and very curious how humans could get so hung up on something that clearly, from an anatomical and a biological point of view, it is supposed to be one of our elimination pathways of our
Mhm.
body. So why would you want to consume things that comes out of the elimination channel? And then plus, again, like we've all said, that's not really the way the body was created, to reconsume things that our body's excreting. And so that's kind of the way that I would explain it and leave it with people. So that's, and then I'll know the last thing I was going to say is, if you talk to anybody that's having kidney failure, they'll tell you that reason why they're having dialysis, or they need to have dialysis, is because their kidneys are not filtering and they're not getting out the proper things that they need their body to eliminate. So again, even the medical association, to a certain degree, explains why that the urine coming from your kidneys is not really something that's considered something you should recycle, because they're trying to help you get it out, because you're not getting out your waste, or the part that you're supposed to be eliminating. So that's what I'm trying to explain, because the whole urine therapy community, they don't look at it as waste at all, and they look at it as a precious liquid that your body makes, and should be reused and saved. And I mean, I just find it sad that we have such deep discussions and arguments over such topics, when there's much better things that we can be focused on that can help us to have better quality of health and life, than just talking about reconsuming our fluids, like that. But that's all I wanted to add, and we can move on again.
Yeah,
I, I,
Mariah.
I have one thing.
Okay.
So the reason that the urine works for like jellyfish stings and stuff is it's a pH of about 6, which is what the pH of your skin is. So if you have distilled water and you have a rash on your arm, you can put 6 pH water on there and it will neutralize it. Now, you still need to do the work inside. And if we are eating properly for our body, then we don't need stool put inside us that has a better bacteria, because our bacteria will be fine. We'll be the ones that I want to take it out of, right? And as far as like the urine goes, if your body is in a healthy condition, you don't need to drink the urine. It's I find it kind of weird myself, but as Thad said, to each their own. If they want to do that and they get benefit from it, but it also goes to how important it is, your story. This urine is healing my body, and your body will create what it needs to heal, even though you're drinking urine and it's a waste product. So if you do the same thing when eating your fruits, berries, melons, vegetables, drinking water, good water, and you're saying this is helping my body heal, your body will heal because you're consuming these things. And in today's world, like with the media and everything and science, everything is bad for us. So we have that almost like guilt when we eat something. Oh, I just love this so much, but I know it's bad for me. But well, you're telling your body that it's bad for you, and your body will respond over time by becoming sick. And I mean, that's how powerful we are as individuals. You know, our body is physical and our breath is quantum. And the first breath in gave us life, turned on the electrical system, and the last one is out. And that's when the body stays here and the energy goes back to source. So it's really important to understand that your story is creating your life. And when you change your story, whether you had a relationship breakup, whatever, and you find somebody new, you start creating a new story. And as you create that new story, the things that made you sick from that relationship, emotionally, most likely, but physically can be too, that'll start to heal because you've changed your story and you're believing the new one. You found something to believe in. And as you do that, your body will heal itself. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
and-
Yeah, we got some responses as it is completely distilled. By the time it comes out, it really is not. And that it is also in the Bible, drink water from your own cistern, running water from your own well. Yeah. I don't even know. I'm sorry. I don't know how to respond to that. Logic is that the way we are designed, it is supposed to come out and not in. Otherwise, we would have been designed differently. We were not born with a cup to, yeah, maybe our hands and then drink it from your hands again. But how much sense would that make? I go with what is logical and benefits. And why would people do this on an ongoing things? Why is it that they have been doing it for years? Aren't we about healing our body? And we don't even need the herbs, for years. I had questions about that. It's like, how long am I supposed to use the liver formula for it to be healthy again? It's like, well, we can't say, you use it for a while and you see how things are going. How are your cells? How are you feeling? And Dr. Morse is very clear, we don't use it like supplements for the rest of my life, of your life. I was doing that. I don't drink milk. I was using calcium pills many, many, many years. Well, I have the results from them and they are not good because they actually work against your health. And that is with the case with all supplements. But even you would say like, okay, urine is a natural product, so it should be safe. It's still a waste product. I mean, you want to get the toxins out, not back in. But anyway, I posted the urine therapy video, which was made by Ivana Koselia. Not sure how to pronounce it. She is very in-depth in this article or in this video. I do have the transcription if you want it, but you have to email me. And so you can really read what exactly it is. And she doesn't give her opinion about yes or no. She just lets you know what it is. And you can make up your mind if you say, okay, this is for me or it is not. Okay, next topic is, yeah, we had a whole bunch, and I think there was an important one, was actually that people are worried about extreme weight loss and muscle loss and have muscle atrophy, like somebody who is 6'2" and is now only around 125 pounds and keeps losing weight. And Dr. Morse talks a lot about that. And yeah, it absolutely has to do with malabsorption. So any of you guys who wants to jump in to this, it's yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll jump in there. Well, a lot of times, what malabsorption is that it's the body is responding to years and years, and a lot of times it goes back to even when we were born, is the intestines not being able to absorb the nutrients properly, because your villi are supposed to be suspended in water, And whenever you consume water-rich fruits and vegetables, plants, because that should be our primary food that we consume, then those nutrients, vitamins, and minerals are easily absorbed through between the villi hairs that are floating, in small intestines. But what happens is we eat so many foods that are so sticky and leave behind such residue in our intestines that it builds up a wall and a layer of waste that builds up over time, and it blocks those villi from being able to absorb them. Now, you might still have some areas that maybe are not as built up as others, so you might still have some absorption going on there, but for most people, they have high levels of malabsorption. That's why you can see it in iridology so easy, and so that's what happens a lot of times, is that people haven't really ever done the work necessary, and they haven't been able to quit consuming the foods that are the single foods that leave behind lots of residue and build up in the intestines. And oils are one of the biggest ones, that people consume, that leaves behind so much residue in the intestinal tract. You can take a jar of marbles, a big jar of marbles, and pour just 1 teaspoon of oil on it, and all the marbles will be coated with a film that you can't get off without using soap. So every time you consume a substance like that, it builds up another layer of waste in the body, and then you have all the bacterias and the parasites and all these things that are coming in there, and they're feeding on that waste, trying to help clean it up, but then they produce their own biofilms, and then you have inorganic minerals that get stuck to it. You have all these things that are going on, that's creating this buildup of waste, in the intestinal system where you're supposed to absorb it. And it even continues into the large intestines, and even part of the colon too, the rectum, because that's kind of like the last resort that the body uses for some small amounts of absorption, but most of it's in the small intestines where you have most of your absorption at. So that's the main reason, from my experience, of why people have malabsorption so much, and the main reason why a lot of people are so skinny. But also, it's from their bodies have never really experienced throughout their whole life what it's like to live on low calorie foods and high nutritional foods. So it's kind of like the body's trying to relearn how to live off of different types of foods. And it's not only, again, your body that's learning how to do that, it's your microbiome, your good bacteria levels, your good and bad bacteria levels, because your bacteria adjust to your environment and what you eat and what you consume. So it takes time for that to change. And so that's why people have to be patient with the process, because it can be a little bit for the body to get used to that. And then also, our society has miscued what a healthy weight should be on an individual. So for most of society, they don't understand what a healthy weight should be for themselves. So, and a lot of times that's smaller or skinnier than what most people think look healthy on people, because a lot of people have, come to think that looking more puffy or more heavy or more filled out, it looks healthy, when that's not always true for every person, now. And of course, you have to find what works for you and what you feel the best at, to what level. But you have to know the difference between waste that you're carrying and healthy weight, because that's what really is going on. And that's the reason why people get so skinny, is that they didn't lose a lot of healthy weight. They lost waste. And they didn't never understand or never learn from anyone what the difference was. And you can see that very clearly when people even go on like water fasting and things like that. They're losing waste, but at the same time, though, they are losing a lot of buildup of reserves of nutrients and vitamins and all those things too, and then your body's having to to release a lot of that, to use as the final reserves of your liver and your body, and then it'll finally get down to the point where it uses the waste to recycle, and then it burns that up too, and it gets rid of that. It's only when you start to get so depleted of anything left of your body that your body starts to use its own tissues for fuel, like your muscles and stuff like that. And that's when really they say you should start to, think about ending the fast. But so it's just really different takes on it. But I really say that it's mostly from malabsorption is the reason why people have such issues with that. But it's also their body just adjusting to just eating different levels of calories and different levels of nutrition. So there's a lot going on. But the majority of people that we see, it's from malabsorption, their body responding from malabsorption. So that's how I would answer that.
Yeah.
Gary, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, and I agree with everything that Thad said there. So Dr. Morse is always talking about malabsorption, and these fruits, berries, and melons are cleansers. So as acids start to build around the cells, it's harder for the blood to get through because they're building a mucus or a mucoid plaque around the cell. And the thicker it gets and the longer it stays there, and the more acid it has to set in because the cell can't move. It's sitting in its own waste. Just think of a baby, right? And it pees or poops its diaper, and when you take the diaper off, if it's on there too long, there's a rash on the baby's bottom. Not many people, I don't think there's many people that know this anyway. And my friend Val, who is a nurse, she said, if you take that diaper off and there's a rash there, no matter how bad it is, and you take pure oxygen and just lightly blow that oxygen across there, let it blow across through a tube, you can watch it disappear. You can watch the rash disappear. I find that mind-blowing. But that's how important oxygen is. And when we're breathing and we're doing deep belly breaths where our rib cage is expanding and contracting, you're moving all those cells. You're moving that mucoid plaque and all the congestion all through the whole body. Everything from your genitals to the top of your head when you breathe through your nose, a nice deep belly breath is moving. It pushes on the primal brainstem when you do a deep breath, belly breath, right? Pushes on the primal brainstem and it makes it expand. Well, when it expands, it goes up into the cerebellum and your pineal gland is in there. And you're shaking everything in the body. That's what the breath does. It moves blood, it moves lymph, and you can't have a cell without a lymphatic system because as that congestion comes in and is sitting in that acid, it starts to damage the cell. And the most important part of that is to get that lymph moving, and it has 3 ways that it moves. Diaphragm, balls of the feet. That's why walking is so good for you when you're usually breathing through your nose, or you just out for a casual walk. You walk through the woods, which is right here in front of me. You walk through the woods, and the trees are giving off oxygen. Pure, well, may not be pure. It's whatever it is here on Earth. It's not like in a canister, but you're breathing in that oxygen. And if you can take the outside of a body and put oxygen on it, and it starts to heal that rash, it's going to do the same thing on the inside. And it's going to keep the blood healthier, the red blood cells. So when we breathe, it goes right into our bone marrow. And it starts producing red blood cells, and it keeps them healthy. And it's just so important to breathe. And it's something that we're taught. Well, we're not taught not to do it, but we're not taught to do it either. So getting that congested area that where that's built up, getting that moving through breath, through movement, through qigong, through tai chi, through yoga, and learning how to breathe, that you're mechanically moving everything. Like Thad was talking about before, the parasympathetic, which is what's turned on by breathing, deep breathing, belly breathing, that's rest, digest, and heal. And the sympathetic is fight or flight. So and that's mouth breathing, shallow breathing up here. So, and it's almost like panting. I saw a woman the other day in her car waiting she was at a stop sign waiting to pull out, and she was literally she could not take breath. So we have a thing called the lion's breath that we do. I'm going to be going to class here in a while teaching, where we stick our tongue out and we exhale really hard. We breathe in through the nose, hold, exhale really hard, and we tap our body all over. We need to tap our body and get that vibration going through there, because it will help move and break up any dense tissue, scar tissue, all that stuff. And the fruits, berries, melons help with that because they're cleaners. So it's mind-blowing how much it will help your body, especially the grapes, the lemons. Oh, I was going to say too, if you're going to use lemons under your arm and you shave, make sure there's no cuts.
Oh yeah, most certainly.
Because if you're going to cut there and you put a lemon juice in it, whoa.
Same thing with limes. Limes, same way.
Yes, oranges. So I just wanted to make that point. But lemon is such an incredible cleanser in the body. And what's it cleaning? It's cleaning the lymph from around the mucoid plaque from around the cells, so that the cells can breathe and they can absorb. And the thicker that gets, the less absorption you have. And then the blood and the lymph can't get to the cell, and the cell starts to isolate itself because it can't communicate. And that's when you start having real health issues. And that's why doing fruits, berries, melons, vegetables, good water, you're cleansing that whole thing. We're showering the inside of our body with what it needs, just like we shower the outside of our body. Everything that's on the outside that we don't like the smell of came from the inside. So as we cleanse the internal body, the external body will always smell sweeter. And if you're using products, then you'll use less products. So, I mean, it's really mind-blowing how we are taught a certain thing. Like, why don't they invent a drug to turn on the immune system instead of making one that shuts it off? I mean, it just blows my mind. But and even if they do, it's going to be synthetic, so they can patent it. But we have it right here growing in nature. And it's just waiting for us to consume it so it can cleanse the internal body. That is magic. And that's why miracles happen in the American Medical Association when people start eating fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables, and they clear up whatever dis-ease they had in their body. They just don't get it. And there's a whole side of the American Medical Association. That's all they study is the lymphatic system. But we don't get that. I think the billionaires probably get it, but we don't get it. Because here they won't even talk about the lymphatic system. They laugh at you. It's all about the blood. Well, people have had blood tests with nothing wrong with them and gone home and had a heart attack, or gone home and then died and found out they had, whatever, something wrong, or they have a stroke, or, those are electrical issues. Everything is an electrical issue. So you think about taking a wire and putting a rubber coating around the outside of it. It's an insulator so that the electricity can't get out. And there is a little bit of a bleed over there, but it's electrical. That's what we are. We're electricity. And we have plasma in our blood. And what's in the atmosphere? Plasma. That's what turns us on. And we're breathing so shallow, and we're in fight or flight, and we're in, they try to keep us in a state of panic because we're easy to manipulate. Anybody who's grounded is not a fan of the matrix, is not a fan of us, because we stay grounded. And if we get in a panic situation, we know how to breathe to get back out of it, because your breath is what changes and your mental state changes. So, okay, That's all I have to say. We got another question?
Well,
Yeah, okay.
Well, Tony, right quick
Yeah.
do on that question, next question. I was going to reply to some things that Gary said because Gary was speaking of something that's very prominent that's very important that people understand, and it kind of helps shift the way that they think. Is that really and truthfully, when you boil it down to it in this world as humans or spirits having a human experience, we are really just consumers of energy, consumers of
Yes.
frequencies of light, frequencies of energy. The same light that charges up that fruit or that plant, to grow, and becomes like sunshine in a plant. We consume that recharges our energy cells, that gives us life. So really we're consuming energy. We're learning how to create energy. We're learning how to harvest energy. We're learning how to let energy flow through the body's channels of flow of energy properly. And so see what that's really what happens to a lot of people is they get so congested with toxicity, and they're not breathing and taking in enough energy through their breath and enough oxygen and enough of those elements, and then they become stagnant with the amount of energy they have because they're also not eating enough energy producing plants or enough plants that have living energy in them. They're not getting out in nature and submerging themselves in energy. They don't have enough good relationship with pets or with other humans that have positive energy, not negative energy, because negative energy is going to take away from your reserves of your positive energy. So really we are just consumers of energy. So the more you do things to help your body to have energy, the healthier you are. If they can put a gauge on us, and it's called angstroms of energy, where they can read the amount of light and energy that our bodies are emitting, just like the living fruits and vegetables. And they've noticed that humans in a healthy state have about 8 to 10,000 angstroms of energy. And that's very ironic. That's what most of your fruits are. But they say a person that has cancer only has about 4,500 angstroms of energy. And so see, that's that when you start to lose all that energy, your body doesn't have enough energy to be strong enough to fight off those conditions and things that develop in a lower energetic state. Well, it's the same thing as our mental states and our emotional states, fear and shame and guilt and all that. That's very low energy. That's very low. I mean, and that's very detrimental to the body to be stuck in those states of that lower energy. I mean, for goodness sakes, even anger and frustration is higher energy than shame and guilt. That's like the bottom of the barrel, the shame and guilt. And that's why you see so many people in these mental disorders, especially narcissism and psychopathy and psychology. I mean, all those, they have so much shame and guilt, and they can't get past their shame and guilt. And so see, that's why a lot of this is going on, is that they don't have enough energy, and they don't have enough positive energy. They don't have enough light giving energy. And then you were talking about breath again. And also what breathing does is it strengthens the mitochondrial energy of the cell. It strengthens the mitochondria, and it's very amazing on such subtle levels how something so basic can give us such life-giving force. But we have to remember, we live less time off of less air opposed to even water and opposed to even our food. So that's why air is your most vital thing, but also not only is it life-giving, it's eliminating the waste. And that's why these people, they sometimes come out with these little sayings that we really don't understand what those sayings mean until you increase your wisdom knowledge. And you have to do it on a very humble way too. You can't let your ego get puffed up so much, because more you accumulate knowledge, if you don't keep the ego in check, it can start to make you seem like grandiose, like you know it all, and then that actually blocks you from receiving more information and more knowledge, because you have to keep humbling yourself the more you learn, because your ego can very easily seem like it's better than others. You may be improving and maybe living in a better way than some other people on lower vibrations, but that doesn't mean that you should think of yourself as a better individual than them. You're just on a different plane of existence, or a plane of vibration, and so because we're all different, we're all unique, we're on all different journeys at the same time. and your own personal journey is going to change as you go, so and that's why Dr. Arnold Ehret even would talk about it. He even come up with an equation: vitality equals energy minus obstructions. I think I got it right. The numerical, I mean the letters that and pretty much what he's just saying is that to have energy, you have to have vitality, because both of those, vitality and energy, are equal, but you have to take away the obstructions. And the obstructions are not always just physical. They are mostly mentally and emotionally and all that too. And that's why, if you, generally speaking, throughout all of our society, if you ask most people that aren't in the know, they think detox is just like detoxing from drugs and stuff like that. They never stop and think that it can be detoxing from all the other chemical and an accumulation of waste that you've consumed in your body on a physical level. But then they never even imagine the spiritual, mental, and emotional detox that's necessary too. That's something that so many people on those lower vibrational states, they won't even entertain those thoughts, because that means they might have to face some of those things that are going to have to come back to surface to be able to release them, to release that negative energy that's keeping you a slave to that energy. Because that's what a lot of times happens when people won't forgive. They won't forgive themselves, or they won't forgive the others. They are a slave to that negative energy, and they're holding on to that. They're identifying with that like a victim, because that's better than actually accepting accountability and responsibility and growing and learning and being able to release that negativity. But some people, they just think it's better to be pessimistic and negative and play the victim than it is to take responsibility and accountability and to grow and learn from that, and to say that, hey, I made a mistake, and that, I hope that others will forgive me and allow me, to go on. And then also say that for yourself too, forgive yourself, because sometimes we're so hard on ourselves, more than anyone else would ever be. So that's some of the things people have to keep in mind and realize about this journey, is that we're always trying to manage and create and harvest energy, and that takes awareness. And then when you think of everything on an energetic level, because everything is, even these inanimate objects, even that steering wheel that's right there in front of Gary, it's still molecules of energy. You know what I mean? And so that's what we have to remember. And that's why we're all made up of the same elements. We all have the same divine spirit, of God, that can flow through us the more we channel into that. So to hate anything is to hate a part of yourself. So you have to let go of hate, any kind of hate. And you should never even really use that word. You can say you dislike something, that's fine, but don't say you hate anything, because to hate anything is to hate a part of yourself. And I'll pass it back to you, Toni. And if we got a couple of questions before we close it out today, go ahead.
Yeah, we actually have a few more questions, but something came up with Moraine, and he was talking about the master fast, what was it? Master fast system.
Master cleanse?
No,
Master cleanse?
no, not the master cleanse. It is the one where they do cooked grape
juice.
juice. Yeah, but he claims here now, and I cannot agree with that, because from Dr. Morse we learn to use the grapes for healing, because they are the most astringent. He says, let me see, the cooked grapefruit is an extremely potent cleanser because fresh grape juice ferments in the body, and candida and parasites still remain. What is your take on that?
Well, grapes are going to ferment in the body regardless if they've been pasteurized or not, because it's again, like Gary was mentioning earlier, and like we always talk about, is that when you have low adrenal function, you have poor sugar metabolism. And then also, majority of us, we have too much bad or candida and yeast cleaning type bacteria. See, again, really, you have to change your way of wording that. It's not really bad bacteria. They're just not beneficial bacteria that produce beneficial components for our body, but they're still important for us because they're cleaning up they're helping to clean up some of the waste That's what candida does. It's only when we get the system so out of balance that we don't have enough of what they call the beneficial, and we have too much of the other types of bacteria. And that's what's going on. But also, grape juice is going to be astringent still, even if it's been pasteurized or not. So you're still going to get the astringent properties. But again, it's so ironic that you bring up a subject talking about something that plays directly into what I was just talking about. Is the main thing that's missing from the grape juice is the life force, the energy. It's gone. The electrolytes are some of the first things that are killed. And what is electrolytes? Electrified minerals that are staying alive, that are vibrating, that are naturally in those fruits and those vegetables and those plants. And then when you put it to subject it to high heat, those heat elements destroy that living vitality. And it may make it where it's very minute, and there may be still some there, but very minute amount. That's just like steamed vegetables still do have a little bit of life force, but not much as compared to raw. So, and the more detrimentally you destroy those elements or heat those elements, or subject those elements to those negative energies, then you're going to destroy more and more of that life-giving energy or life force energy. So that's the biggest thing that you're missing. So what happens is they still do get the astringent properties, and they do still get some cleansing properties from the pasteurized grapes.
Yes.
But they're not getting the life force from them. That's the way I would explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, they do a lot more with that system, including long
Oh yeah.
dry fast and what was it, plasma cutting. And to me, when I looked at it, it's been years ago that I looked at it, and I was like, that's too complicated. And to follow that exactly, it costs money. And I was like, let's keep it simple, because I see with my experience, personal experience, was that with the lemon juice, which we talked about a few weeks ago, or maybe it's already a few months ago with Gary. It's like I have the same effects, and it's simple, and we are all about keeping it simple and actually, to me, logical, and not all kinds of complicated things that we need to do. But anyway,
Right.
if somebody wants to do it, it's what Dr. Moore said. If you want to try it out, go for it. It's the same
Well,
with a certain product that claims it's all enzymes, that claims to do what is it, 24-hour or 48-hour detox. And I actually bought it because I feel if so many people want to use it, I have to use it first and see how it works. And you know what? It's still in the package, and it's been in there for over a year, 2 years now. I'm just afraid to use it. I
Yeah,
haven't.
well, I've been hearing some negative feedback from some people that it disrupted the balance of their system by using the fermented enzymes. And then also you were going to say, just try these different things and see how they work for you. Well,
Mhm.
I've had a lot of feedback from people that the master fast can be too aggressive for some people. They'll jump into it too quickly and too fast, thinking that, oh, this is going to work. Because humans have a tendency to think more is better. And so sometimes people, even from just a very beginning stage, they think, oh, more aggressive is better, when they don't really know what they're putting themselves through physically and everything. And that's what we even continue to see all the time through these days. I mean, I talk to people constantly on the Telegram group of Dr. Morse, and people all the time, they jump into all these fast and cleansing and even just eating all fruit right after they were just eating other heavier mucus causing foods, including animal products.
Mhm.
They don't have no understanding about how to properly transition. And that's why all of your greats, especially Arnold Ehret, he would talk about that. That's very important, learning the art of properly transitioning your body to those higher states of healthier eating and being and living. So that's another part of it. That's just what I was going to add right quick, is that the master fast can be way too strong for some people.
Mhm.
So that's what I would add. But go ahead, Tony. Yeah.
Did you want to say something, Gary?
Yeah, I have a simple little thing that I use, especially in Qigong class, because people are in front of me. Live food, live body, dead food, dead body. You need to find the balance for your body between those two sources of of consumption, or when you consume cooked food, live food. Now, some people can go all live and never have a problem. Some people will eat dead food and never have a problem. It depends on how your body processes, right? And we're looking for the combination between live and dead to get to a balance for our body. But it's going to constantly shift, you know, because one time you're going to be eating too much cooked food, and the next time you might be doing a little bit too much fruit for your body. Not everybody's different. And to turn up the engine of the body, the metabolism through your breath, because that's what breath does. It increases your metabolism. And it's really important to find that balance between the two. And when you go to a doctor and he gives you a synthetic med, well, if your body is producing that, let's just say testosterone, right? And you start taking a supplement for that, your body will stop producing it. So you're getting more and more and more. And then all of a sudden, it's all synthetic. And if you decide you want to get off of it, that is not a fun journey. A lot of your athletes, that's what they do. That's why they test them for testosterone levels. Because the higher it is, the more aggressive you are. And so they're taking too much, and they actually test their blood to see how much they have in their system. And if it's too high, they won't let them fight, or they won't let them run or participate in whatever the sport is that they're in. So it doesn't matter what it is, anything, hormones, anything that the body produces, testosterone is a hormone, I know that. Anything that you're taking that the body's supposed to be producing, it's not producing it, it's not age, it's lack of proper diet for your body. The energy doesn't know age. And what runs the body is energy. So as long as you have energy, like there's a Qigong master that I've been watching. He's 118 years old. He moves better than I do. I mean, it's mind-blowing. And that's available to all of us. But we have to get rid of as many synthetic things as we can and do as many natural things as we can. And I know it's getting tougher all the time, but it's still possible. And it's chats like this with groups of people that share the information on where you can go get this. You know, the herbs that are growing out here in nature, I don't know if you know this or not, if you walk around in your bare feet in your yard and it's not sprayed, but you walk around, nature's always seeking balance. So the herbs you need to heal your body will start growing on that land where you're walking, because it's reading what's off in your body. And you start consuming those, then it will start to heal your body. It will start to balance that back out. So that's one of the most powerful things about herbs is they're wild. They haven't been contaminated as much by man, we'll say, with glyphosates and all this stuff. So just understanding, slowing down, stepping back, eating less. Less is more, right? We're eating and eating and eating and eating, and the commercials are all about eating, and so we're overeating and we're congesting our own body because of the chemicals and the oils that they have in there and Dad talked about that in the lungs. The oil starts to build up on everything, and it coats it, and it can't function properly. So anyway, I guess I'll end it right there.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, we had a question, and this shows up, and it shows up in the groups many times. Is actually about lectins, and I had not heard about lectins until way before I met Dr. Morse. Was an advertisement from Dr. Gundry. And I was completely vegan. I wasn't all raw yet, but I had so many issues. And he made it sound like, he had something. And of course, there was a supplement that you had to take, and then the lectins in the food wouldn't bother you. He didn't say anything about, he did say about what you can't eat. And it came to a point that it was like, you cannot eat fruit, you cannot eat vegetables, but definitely take my pills. And then you can eat whatever you want. So the topic of lectins often comes up, and even Dr. Morse talked about it. And if you want to hear what he said about it, it is go to morses.tv, use the bottom search function, put in the lectins. I think I already mentioned that, by the way. But anyway, someone said, I got this from another alternative healing group. Now I'm really scared because I'm pretty sure I have gut issues. I'm prepared to have an open mind about the benefit of raw vegan diet. Many people with gut issues cannot heal on it. All the veggies and fruit is like sandpaper on the gut. Lectins can cause havoc in the body as well as many other plant ingredients. Well, I briefly listened to what Dr. Morse said about it, and he said you find the lectins in the foods that you're not supposed to eat anyway. Like I think he definitely mentioned beans. And I don't know if it was green beans, but it was another one. So what is your take on that? Because I know that when you talk about lectins, and there has been research, and it said before it can actually negatively influence your body, you need to eat a lot of that stuff. So, but yeah, if you eat beans, I mean, I had my times of pure poverty when I just came to the US, when I pretty much lived on beans. That was my daily food for, probably close to a year. So I could say I could have some health problems from that too. But anyway, go ahead, guys.
You want to take that, Thad, and then I'll follow up?
Yeah, I can. Because there's a lot to be said about that subject.
Yeah.
And yes, we do have lots of people that ask us about that all the time because, in my opinion, there's so much misinformation out there purposely told by these doctors like Dr. Guntry, which, I don't agree with the majority of the things he says because, he wants you to eat all these, he's kind of like just like the paleo and keto community of telling you all these unhealthy foods to eat and avoid the plant-based foods just because they have certain components, just like lectins and just like nightshades, and all these different phrases you hear from these different plants. And what I've come to understand through different research is a lot of times these plant elements, they're not really going to affect your body unless you have a buildup of inflammation and congestion of acidosis and a congestion of waste in your body to the point where your nervous system has become so sensitive and your digestive system and your body's become so sensitive from all the buildup of waste. So because I give you a perfect example, you can look up all these different lists online on Google and all these different places of high lectin foods and low lectin foods, high nightshade foods, all these different things that they come up with and the different plant elements that they use as another excuse for people just to say, well, plants got bad properties in them. I think I'm just going to eat only animal products, because they don't have any of the antagonistic properties that plants have. And again, that's just trying to get us to avoid eating the plants because they don't want us to eat the high vibrational foods. They want you to eat the suppressive, low vibrational foods or the dead foods to keep you asleep, to keep you in the matrix, to keep you, why did the man want to eat the steak when he wanted to be put back in the matrix? Because that is the suppressive nature of not being aware of true reality of life, So, and then you're easier to be controlled and you're easier to do what they say if you eat those lower vibrational substances. So, because if you look at these lists, like I have one pulled up right now, one of the things it says in fruits and vegetables is melons. But does that mean that we need to stop eating melons? No. That's just an example that we have to be careful in the information that we read and not let that scare us. And you need to not let any of those things scare you because you have to look at it logically too sometimes, is that if we don't eat the healthy fruits and vegetables, then what are you going to eat? Because all the other foods are going to have way more problems from them than the fruits and vegetables. Now, I know, of course, some fruits are better than others in different ways. Some vegetables are better than others in different ways. Some vegetables cause more problems for people than other vegetables, and I understand that, that's why it says on here, fruits and nightshades. It says corn, cucumbers, eggplant, peppers, pumpkin, squash of any kind, zucchini, tomatoes. We'll see those are things that can sometimes affect people because they have different properties and different elements that make up those plants. But again, those are only going to really affect people when they have very sensitive systems because their systems are overwhelmed from toxicity, acids, and waste. And it's irritated their nervous system and their body to the point where they're sensitive to anything. Those same individuals, if you try to put them on the most healthiest plants that doesn't have any of those components, they still might have a sensitive reaction to it because they're not used to eating them. I remember a story of a guy was helping him detox a lot, and he was from Sweden, and he wanted to help his mom detox some. Well, she had not eaten any fruits at all for 5 years. And he tried to get her to go on a fruit cleanse where she ate predominantly fruits, and she didn't have no transition period. He said she was on the floor within a matter of a few days in serious pain just from those fruits and how strong they were, and also how her body was responding because she hadn't had them in 5 years. So see, we have to understand all the information and all the things that we're going into before we subject the body to these different techniques and these different things that we don't know much about. And the same thing about reading information out there that's put out there by people that when you investigate into, why they're giving you this information or what they're telling you to do, what they're telling you to eat, what they're telling you to consume, what products they're telling you to take. When you look at all of that and you look at it as a big picture, you see they don't really have your true best interest at heart. They don't really have your true best health at heart. They're just trying to a lot of times sell you a product, and they're just trying to push a narrative that's out there in the industry, in the community. And so that's why you have to be careful with those types of people that you can follow. And it's very easy because they'll make these videos and these speeches and these topics sound so interesting and sound so truthful and sound so like, oh man, that's really something we should look out for because those are toxic elements in the plants. And I mean, we even hear it all the time with herbs. People give all these excuses and all these reasons why you don't want to consume herbs because herbs have toxic elements, herbs have this, herbs have that. But yes, they don't understand though that sometimes the toxicity level in a herb in a natural rate, in a natural amount, and if you take it at the dosage that you're supposed to take it at, it can be very beneficial to the body. That's why there's lots of evidence for that. Like like apricot seeds, for example. They do have natural occurring poisonous components to them, just like apple seeds and peach seeds and all of those. But they also have B17 or laetrile, which has been shown in so many different cultures to be life extending and be shown to help prevent cancer. I mean, that's why that you had your group of people called the Hunzas that lived in Pakistan up by the Himalayas. That before they got industrialized, I think in the 90s or the 2000s, they lived for decades as some of the healthiest, long-living individuals that was out there because apricots were like their gold. They mostly lived and ate and consumed apricots, and they even made oils and paste from the seeds, and they would even consume the seeds on their body topically as well as internally. And so that's why I'm just trying to say there's a lot of information out there. That's why you have right now the FDA is trying to eliminate people from being able to eat apricot seeds because they don't want them to have access to that. And what's the main reason why they tell people not to eat it? Oh, it's got poison in it. And they use that as a scare tactic. So that's what I'm trying to get at, is that a lot of these things we hear about, don't let that bother you too much because that's just a scare tactic most of the time. Now everyone's different. Everybody's situation is a little different. Everybody's genetics and body's a little different. So you might respond to it a little bit different, and now also it depends on how you're consuming that element. Like even tomatoes, we talked about it many times, even Dr. Morse. Raw tomatoes are okay, but cooked tomatoes are a no-no, because it takes that elements of chemistry and it turns it very acidic. Because tomatoes are only mildly alkaline, anyways. They're kind of like in between. And then the same thing, we've had the conversation many times about blueberries. Blueberries are slightly acidic because they're grown in acidic soil, but that still doesn't mean that the blueberry doesn't have very much high levels of healing properties and that they're still very nutritious and good for the body. And Dr. Morse said it best one day when someone asked him, because he had it in his book and people kept asking about, why do you have blueberries in the acidic range in the book? And he was explaining that sometimes in nature there's plants that we want to consume that are very healthy for us that are slightly acidic to help keep our bodies from getting too overly alkaline, because it's all about a balance again. So see, that's why it just takes deep understanding on the whole subject. Don't just go by these little catchphrases, these little catchy topics and things that people put out there to grab your attention and make you think, oh, that's the next conspiracy theory, that's the next thing no one talks about, that's the next hidden element of the reason why I'm going to have problems, or the reason why I'm having health problems and digestion problems. And we even hear about it with histamines. Everyone complains about, oh, I'm having a histamine reaction. Well, that's because your bacterial systems are out of balance again, and your immunity is out of balance. Not your immune system, because there's no such thing as your immune system in anatomy and physiology. You have immunity, and that comes from how clean your lymphatic system is and how high your beneficial bacteria is in your intestines, your lymphatic system, and your skin. Okay, and so with the facts of the histamine reaction, why does a person have allergies in the first place and have histamine reactions in the first place? It's because their immune system and their biological system has gotten out of whack, and their bodies are starting to attack things that are really good and healthy for them, instead of attacking the things that are foreign invaders and foreign things that are weakening the system. So that's why people have allergies real bad and histamine reactions and all these things. All these things have a cause, and then all these things have an effect. And you have to look at that and you have to understand that, because that's how you really tell how to help the bodies. Anytime someone comes in my parents' health food store and wants to talk to me or wants to talk to us, we always say, what are your symptoms? What are your highest level of symptoms that are causing you discomfort in your life as a human? Okay. And then we go by that top discomfort symptom that they're having first. And you give them different herbs and different things that can help for that. Then that'll help them to have some relief, help them to start to feel a little bit better. And then they can start to address other things that they're having that are symptoms as well. Because we'll have people all the time that'll come in there and they'll name off all these different conditions they have, but we'll say, well, what are giving you the most symptoms right now? Because that's what you go after. You don't always just chase things just because they're there to chase, because that's going to make you end up being a hypochondriac. You're going to end up just finding all kind of things to chase constantly. And so you'll be focused more on what's wrong with me instead of what's right with me, or what's positive about me, or what I should be grateful for, and what I should be appreciative of, So that's kind of how I would take on it. But I'll pass it back to you guys.
Gary, did you want to answer? Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So one of the most important things is, as we're sifting through information, it could sound like the greatest thing in the world. But when we consume it, because the body is the real judge of everything, right? When we consume it, we swallow it, and it's trying to digest it. It's either going to do it really smooth, and it's going to go through the ascending, transverse, and descending out the colon, or urination, without burning us. That whole system, because when it comes out of the stomach, it's really acidic. And as it travels through, it's alkalizing it. And if that gets out of balance, almost anything you eat, if it's going to cause an irritation, it's going to cause dis-ease in the body somewhere, somehow. Because we're either over-consuming it, or we haven't really talked about this either, but the cold and flu-like symptom from detoxing, and not being afraid of that or panicking because of it, but to adjust a few things, or just to keep going and push through it. And then the health is on the other side, but it has to clean everything first. And it's breaking all these toxins loose. And as it breaks them loose, they're still acidic. So it's going through the system and it's going to cause a few issues, cold and flu-like symptoms. And it might last a week, might last 2 weeks, whatever. But it's eventually, as it cleans itself out, it's going to go away. If it doesn't, then change your diet a little bit. Or and if you're not doing breath work, do your breath work. 70% of our detox is through our breath, if we're breathing properly. And since most of us aren't breathing properly, we're missing a lot of a really simple, low-cost detox. Just learn to breathe and move. Know how the lymphatic system, the pumps, the diaphragm, which can be, which is automatic through the autonomic nervous system, okay? And inhaling through the nose pulls it back into the parasympathetic, which is rest, digest, and heal. And if we're mouth breathing, we're in fight or flight. You know, you see it in runners. The ones who start breathing, they open their mouth. Once they open their mouth, they're trying to suck in more air, and they start to lose their power and they start falling back compared to the other runners. And the ones whose blood and lymph can flow through the body freely, and they're able to transfer everything and get it to the cells, they're the ones who run the longest and the fastest, or whatever it is you're doing. Their energy, you know, a muscle can't move without energy. And that's just a frequency, a vibration, and it's in our food. And we can overcharge or we can undercharge, or charge and discharge, right? Discharge is, you know, the energy level, trying to get where you can see this, energy levels here. As it lowers, you're getting more and more disease. Well, it can go the other way too. As it goes up, you can get more and more disease. You have to find that balance point for your body, not the person beside you or anything. So as we're reading information, you know, maybe you start out with, if you're doing an herb, let's say you're going to make a tea, you let it steep for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Those are all different levels of, you can call it medication or whatever it is, its ability to heal. And some people let it steep, they just put it in the fridge and let it do its thing overnight. Well, that might be way too strong for your body, especially if you're just starting out. You got to find that level. And it's the same thing with the food. Too much of this, not enough of that. So we're just playing. And because it's discomfort and pain, it's the only way our body has to communicate with us, like a baby. They cry, right? Well, our body is crying for help. And we're in a state of, I just want it fixed. That's where the pill comes in. The magic of the pill, right? And all they're doing is blocking the symptoms. This is actually going into the core and working the body from the inside out, opening the lymphatic pathways and balancing the body and its ability to produce what it needs. If your body's stuck somewhere, the blood and lymph can't flow through. So the cell's not being fed, it's not being hydrated, it's not being oxygenated. And then the lymph can't get through to clean up, so it's sitting in its own waste, and that's never a good thing. That's where all pain comes from. Other than, well, even in an injury, you know, if you break an arm or whatever, the body is instantly going in to fix that with stem cells and blood and lymph to carry stuff away. So it's most of the time, if you want your body to heal, the best thing to do is just leave it alone. Drink water, have some good fruits, berries, and melons. And as far as like reading about like beans, and we need to understand that. We need to know it, because if we consume it and we have an issue that comes up, or it's discomfort or bloating or whatever, well, there's a reason for that. And maybe that bean didn't cause that. Maybe your body already has an overload of something. And because it's so sensitive, then you're having a reaction. I guess that's all I'd have to say about that. But we're the masters of our bodies, not the outside world. The outside world is projecting everything to you, and we're running around trying all this stuff instead of listening to our body. Because our body talks to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's never stopped. It's that we've forgotten how to understand what it's saying. And as we raise our vibration, we understand that more and more. And the more we understand it, the better we feel and the healthier we are, the stronger we are. Our ability to have longevity increases. They say that just learning how to breathe will add 7 years onto your life because you're getting rid of toxins that have been stuck in there since you was a child. So anyway, again, that's it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, and Toni, what I could add to what Gary said that brought up some other things that were important to mention is that he was talking about, let's see, let me get my train going here of thoughts. Yeah, we're talking about the lectins and all those things, and darn it, I just lost it. I'm trying to get it back. I hate when that happens. But there you go. I don't mean to, hey, I just dislike. But let's see if I can get it back. I was bringing it. The reason why I was talking again is I was bringing up a good point to add to it, and I totally lost it now when I started talking, y'all, I guess go ahead and if I remember it, I'll bring it back up, because I can't. I'm still trying to stretch for it, and I can't think. Uh, I, yeah,
Yeah,
just
you know what, that never happens to us.
yeah, right. Because I was thinking something great to add, but I just forgot.
I have my moment that I was like, oh, I have to look that up. And then I opened up the browser and it was like, what was I going to look up?
Yeah. Yeah.
I shouldn't have that, but yeah, I have that at times. It
Oh, I
happens.
remember. I remembered. It
Yeah,
came back
there we
to me.
go.
There it goes. Is I was going to say also a big thing that people misunderstand is that the chemistry of a substance outside of our body, like a plant, is going to totally change once we put it inside of our own bodies.
Yeah.
Because our bodies are a processing plant. It's a combustional engine. It's designed to take in carbon and mix with oxygen and produce energy. Well, it goes through the digestion process, and that's why we always hear, and we heard Dr. Morse mention it, we've heard so many people talk about it, is that it's not so much the chemistry of the plant when we eat it, but it's more the chemistry of what happens after it goes through the process of digestion and what type of ash or residue does it leave behind. Because that's very important that a lot of people don't think about. They don't think about what does it produce, what kind of residue or what kind of byproduct or what kind of trash does it produce after we break it down. And if people really understood that, they would understand why some products that we think we should consume, that we've been conditioned to think we should consume, like animal products, that when it goes through our body's process, it comes out the other side in a very detrimental state for our bodies, because our bodies it pretty much didn't know how to process it, and so it just ended up becoming this putrid, rotten, decayed mass that is very detrimental to the life of our body, that's releasing high amounts of ammonia and other byproducts from that improper digestion, because we're never designed to put that substance in our body to begin with, because that's not the chemistry that our bodies require and need, so that's another one that people need to remember, and don't get confused, is that don't think that the chemistry is going to be the same from that plant outside of your body after you digest it and consume it, and it moves through your system. And a good example of that is the lemon. Even Dr. Morse and Patty Lager had a talk about it for 30 or 40 minutes one day, talking about how even some scientists, even some doctors would try to say, oh, y'all talk all the time about alkalinity diet and how it's good for you and all this, blah, blah, blah. Well, what about a lemon? A lemon's very acidic, has lots of citric acid. Yes, it does, but when we consume it, it mixes with our saliva that is very alkaline, and then it changes the chemistry and makes lemon very alkaline. That's why you can actually, test the saliva of your mouth before you consume a lemon or lemon juice. And then you can drink some lemon juice, and you can test your saliva, and it'll be very alkaline, and that's because of that conversion that happens in our body, but that's if you have enough saliva that you produce and also have enough saliva that has high enough levels of good bacteria again. Because that's also what's very important for your teeth and your gums, is that it's not just the strength of your parathyroid and all that. It's also, again, your microbiome, your biology, because any opening you have in your body, you have to have enough high levels of good bacteria to help keep that opening from getting contaminated or infected by bad bacteria floating in the air. And that's very prevalent when you look at a woman's vagina or vulva. That is how it keeps it healthy and clean and sterile, is because the bacteria. You take away the bacteria, they start to have yeast infections, urinary tract, all these issues that are going on because there's not enough of the good bacteria there. So that's just what I was going to add, is that we can't get confused when we think about chemistry and biology and think that just because that plant has those components, in it in its raw natural state, or in how it changes even when it's been cooked, and it's going to be the same when we digest it and break it down and everything in our bodies. It's going to change. So you have to look at all of that and take that into consideration, on what kind of effects you're going to get from that whole process. And that's why some people, they don't feel so bad after they first eat something, but then they start to feel bad from that product after a day or two later. And then they don't never stop and think, well, what was it that I ate 2 or 3 days ago that's making me feel like this today? We automatically assume that was from something that I just ate recently. Like, I'm talking about like the last meal. And that's not necessarily true, because it doesn't affect us sometimes until it gets through the systems of elimination, especially the intestines. Because another thing a lot of people don't think about is your waste flows through your small intestines in a liquid state. It flows through your large intestines in a liquid state until it gets to the sigmoid. The sigmoid's responsibility is to eliminate that water and separate it and to make a solid waste. Well, what happens is that when you take away that water's diluting down the chemicals and the toxicity and the ammonia and all that high levels of waste that's toxic. And then when you take all that water away, it concentrates that. And then that's why so many people have rectum and sigmoid weaknesses. They're so strong because of those high toxic levels of toxins that are in that poo that doesn't have the water there to dilute it down. So see, that's another reason why people don't understand how the biology and the bacteria is so important. That's why, again, we can get into the appendix is so important, because it's helping give the proper bacteria balance for the large intestines, because that's why it's right there on the very end of the ascending the ascending colon, or no, the cecum. I'm sorry, the cecum, the very first part of the large intestines. It's right there on the very bottom, and it's there because the bacteria changes from the small intestines to the large intestines. And that's why you have 2 different groups of bacteria. So these are so much complicated stories and issues, and helping us to understand why this happens, why this doesn't happen, and so that's what I would add to what we were talking about. But yeah, we can continue.
Well, we can continue, but we're not going to,
Well,
because
that's
we
okay
did it.
too.
2 hours. We actually did it. We got over 2 hours. Sarah
Well,
already had to leave an hour ago.
I figured
Yeah.
today was going to be a little long too, because when you
Yeah,
have multiple questions about multiple topics and how deep they can get, and how much we can springboard from one topic to the next, and how all these things are so connected, that it's gonna be a lot to talk about.
yeah, I have more, but we're going to save that for next week. I already mentioned Sarah had to go an hour ago, and she puts in the text, sorry to go, much love for you all, and can't wait for the next show. Yeah, we're going to end it here. I want to thank you guys so much because
Oh.
I think I don't even need to talk. I just let you guys talk and just explain everything. And I can
We
just
love you talking.
I can just be lazy. But I love your enthusiasm, your passion for all of this. And thank you guys so much. And shall we do this again next week?
Yes, it sounds fun to me.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'd love it.
Okay, we'll
I
do it
love
again
having
next
I
week.
love having these group talks, about these subjects because, we're just putting the information out there to help people to have this information available, and then it can start to increase their curiosity so they can dive deeper into different teachings and learnings they can learn about, so because that's what it's really about. It's just about sharing the message and sharing the information.
Yeah, we had one person coming up. I think I saw that her name was Linda, and she left again. So my apologies if I didn't get to you fast enough, Linda. Maybe next time. And thank you, Amanda, for being here and listening in. I don't know the name of others, but Amanda was on the live chat. I just see you all next week, and much love to you, and have an awesome week, and enjoy your life. That's the message. Enjoy your life. Bye, guys.
Yes, take care. Bye bye.
Yep. Love you guys. Talk to you later.